So the other day, I met someone who said she was afraid to show her art in public. I never really know what to say to that because I feel like I was fortunate enough to skip over that particular first step fear. I do understand the feeling of connecting social media reception to self-worth, where you post something and nobody reacts to it or even sees it. And to that, I usually just break it down into algorithms and numbers, like for every 100 people that see your thing, only 4 people respond to it on average. That seems a little bit disappointing, daunting, but it does disconnect the ironic loneliness of social media from being a mark of your self-worth. Otherwise, I'm not really sure what the fear of showing your art stems from. Possibly getting negative response. I don't really know how to deal with hatred online because I don't really experience it that much. I think negative reception online is reserved for creators whose audiences are so large that each viewer feels armored with their relative smallness, being hidden in a group of people, knowing that some of them are likely to agree with their bad takes. And obviously, that's not my scene at all. I mean, I do not have much of a follower count here, and so people are generally polite, and the people who do act like jerks in public really only end up making themselves look like jerks in public, how embarrassing for them just be embarrassing in public. So I feel like unless you just really aren't that nice of a person, or if you are putting your art in places that really doesn't want it, like posting videos on a Reddit thread, or there are obnoxious ways to post your art in public. But outside of lacking tact, a lot of the fears of just showing your art seem kind of irrational. And regardless of how irrational it might be, that fear is just always going to be there. You're always going to have a fear of showing up and being judged for it. You're always going to have a fear of being mediocre. And you're always going to have a fear of not showing up at all and then never knowing if you've missed out on something. I'm nervous every single day, even when things are objectively fine. I don't think I'll ever just feel okay about everything. But a very surprising thing happened recently. This week I went to the dentist by myself. That sounds kind of like nothing, and it sounds really unrelated to the fear of showing your art, but I think it's related. Because for most of my life, I've been terrified of dental offices. When I was a tiny child, my stepdad drove me to the dentist. In the car, he filled my head with terrors. He said that my teeth were going to break and fall out. The dentist was going to drill holes in my mouth and that it would be scary and so painful. These regular dental visits really did turn out to be traumatic horror shows. I didn't suspect that anything was wrong because he said that was going to happen and that's what happened. And I thought it was like this for everybody after all. I didn't know anyone who actually liked going to the dentist, so I thought that was why. So naturally, when I moved out, I refused to see another dentist until 7 years later. And I went there and I couldn't even listen to the background noises of other patients being worked on without just breaking down into tears in the waiting room. It was just didn't go back for another decade, which was recently. And I was still afraid, but this time it felt different. It felt like the same regular annoying anxiety I get. I didn't cry at the dentist office. I just went. And it's not because my traumatic memories just faded away and I got over it. And I think what it is that quitting my job and then accidentally being self-employed for the past couple of years, making not very much money, it's been the scariest thing that I've ever done. I have gone to show my art where no artists show their art. I feel really small when I listen to my aggressive salespeople, neighbors in the table next to me do well while I do so poorly. I've tried to awkwardly start small talk only to be awkwardly ignored or struck down. I've signed up for public speaking opportunities, then failed to adequately prepare for them, and thus turn what should have been a really fun night into an embarrassing memory that I wish that I could burn out of existence. Seriously. And I sabotage myself constantly because I know that growing an art business will only lead to bigger and more terrifying things. When I had to go to the dentist this week, no one dragging me in, knowing that I was going to have to relive some trauma, like I did it with a shrug pretty much. I realized that there was just no way that I could prepare for it by worrying ahead of time. I didn't have to memorize any speeches. I didn't have to impress anyone in an interview. I didn't have to pitch anything to a stranger. I didn't have to be cool or entertaining, interesting. I literally just had to show up and sit in a chair and take my punishment. And so, like, compared to all of the things that I have been doing recently, going to what was the most terrifying place in my mind that I could think of was actually surprisingly easy. Call me crazy, I was even excited to get my mouth frozen with a needle for the first time in my entire life, because that was normal for everyone else, and most of all, it was humane. I'm actually going to start going to the dentist, guys. Like, this is crazy. I think resilience to fears is a very gradual thing, and I'm not sure that I would have been brave if I hadn't already been facing so many of my fears lately. And so that just makes me think about this whole, like, art audience building process, because it's like maybe it was easy for me to set up a booth at a marketplace where nobody cares about art because I already had a little experience doing some joint shows in an art gallery where nobody knew who I was and nobody came. And maybe I could do those joint shows with strangers because I'd already participated in a bunch of juried exhibitions, which are easy. Like, you can just fill out a form and drop off a painting at the gallery and you're in. And maybe I could only get the bravery to sign up for juried exhibitions because I had to sit through a bunch of classroom critiques where nobody had anything to say when it was my turn to show my work to them. Maybe that classroom setting wasn't that scary because I had previously taken the same dinky art class every year in high school with the same students in it. Maybe I was excited to make YouTube videos because I was already posting bad anime art on the internet before the short form, fast-paced social media apps was a thing. Maybe posting online in the first place felt natural because a friend and I regularly traded sketchbooks to motivate each other and to fill more pages and share them with each other. You can kind of see how, like, things that seem really big and scary can be broken down into smaller preparations, smaller, slightly less scary steps, learning to express yourself with art, showing it to somebody for the first time, showing it to strangers for the first time, dabbling in juried exhibitions just to see what it's like to have your art in a gallery, posting a TikTok, posting a time-lapse art video with no voiceover, and then starting to do voiceovers, then maybe starting to do vlogs if that's a thing you want to do. Like, there's definitely a step-by-step kind of path you can take to sort of experience fear in, like, littler quantities. It doesn't have to be so big. So I'd say, like, if you were afraid of showing your art, I'd start small, start by showing your family and your friends, going to a group meetup, going to an educational critique environment, joining an arts council. You don't have to be a full-time artist to hang your art in a gallery or to teach somebody how to do something. So let me know down in the comments what scares you, or if something doesn't scare you more, how you got over it. And thanks for subscribing. I will see you next time.